Okay, welcome back to our next presentation. My name is Jacob Lemke, healthcare analyst here at ABG. And next up, I have the pleasure to welcome Boule Diagnostics and their CEO, Jesper Söderqvist. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Very nice to be here. So I'm the CEO of Boule Diagnostics since a little bit more than 2 years. So Boule is a supplier that provide hematology diagnostics to the decentralized segment, both in the human and the veterinary market. We have a very nice business model where we place instruments that use consumables for the lifetime of the instruments. And thanks to that and a large installed base, we have a large portion of recurring revenue. And today I will talk about how we develop the business currently, and also, of course, very importantly, the investments we're doing in the new product platform to secure the long-term growth and profitability of Boule. So Boule is a key player in the niche of decentralized hematology. If you look at the overall hematology market, it has a market value of around 80 billion Swedish crowns. And about 1/10 of that is the decentralized market. And in the decentralized market, the physician office lab and laboratories using benchtop analyzers. And the benefit of that is that you can get an immediate test result, so the clinician can consult the patients at the point of visit of the patient. The reported growth in the decentralized segment is quite moderate, but our experience is that in the markets where we are active, we actually see a higher growth. And if you look at Boule historically, we have managed like a 10% year-on-year growth before the pandemic. And during the pandemic, of course, we had a significant loss in revenue. I'll come back to that. But also after the pandemic, we have now seen that we have that we are growing faster than the market. And the last reported quarter, we had a 14% organic growth. So we are focused on the decentralized market. Another way to look at the market is to divide the instruments in 5-part and 3-part instruments. Boule is active in both segments, but the core of our business is in 3-part analyzers. And if you look at the number of analyzers that was sold last year in the overall hematology market, about 20% of the analyzers was 3-part and 75% was 5-part. So with the new product platform that we are developing, we will be able to better penetrate the 5-part market, which will fuel our growth in the future. Last year, about 10% of our business was also in the veterinary segment, and that's a market that has grown faster than the human market, in particularly during the pandemic, where a lot of families during the lockdowns acquired the companion animals. So Boule is unique in the sense that we are covering the entire value chain, and we provide quality through every step of the chain. We both develop and manufacture instruments as well as all of the consumables to do a hematology test. We have a product portfolio of both 5-part and 3-part instruments, and also a product for the veterinary segment. The 5-part instruments that we have today are entry-level instruments that is used for kind of lower volume testing, whereas our flagship products are in the 3-part segment, where we have unique features such as the very compact autoloader, which gives a walk-away solutions for mid-size labs and mid-size hospitals, as well as we have many different ways to aspire blood. And a unique feature is the MPA, so micropipette adapter, where you from a single drop of blood from a blood stick can do a complete blood count. The consumables that is used with our instruments are tied to our instrument through an RFID security system. So that secures the quality of the diagnosis, but it's also a way to secure that the revenue we get from the installed base is really using just the Boule proprietary reagents. Thanks to our quality perception and also our manufacturing capabilities, we also have a business that we refer to as OEM business, where we provide white label consumables to other hematology providers. So if you look at our business model, this is a razor blade business model. It creates a global reach thanks to a that we're using an indirect sales model where we sell through distributors. The distributors do both marketing, sales, installation, and service. In order to make sure that we work closely with these distributors, we also have local staff around the world in key geographies to ensure that we work closely with the distributors, we understand the markets, we understand the business dynamics, we understand the regulatory requirements and reimbursement. And also our local staff also work with our distributors, for larger tenders. We also have a unique multi-brand strategy where we sell the instruments to several different product brands. So we have 3 very strong product brands, 2 for the human segment, Medonic and Swelab, and Exigo for the veterinary market. Thanks to that, we can better penetrate the market, and we can work with several distributors and parallel sales channels in key geographies. That has proven to be very successful for us. If you look at a large installed base and the consumables that is used with our instruments, about 140 million tests are done. And if you combine that with also our white label sales to other hematology providers, the total value of sales of recurring revenue is about 60%. So I think that's a very great stability in our business. And I think that is best illustrated if you look at this graph, where you can see quarter by quarter, the blue bars are the number of instruments placed in the market. The green line is the rolling 12-month revenue from instrument sales. And you can see that is varying, and you can see a rapid drop there in the second quarter of 2020 when the pandemic hit the world. And then we have recovered the last 6 quarters. But if you look at the red line, that's the rolling 12-month revenue from consumable sales. And you can see that even if we have fluctuations in the number of instruments we install in the market, we have a steady growth of recurring revenue. I think that's a key strength of Boule. And we have shown now that we can grow faster than the market, both before the pandemic but also post-pandemic. We have now seen that we recover in the markets over the last 6 quarters. And also the last quarter, this second quarter of this year, which is the last one we reported, we also hit a record revenue. So you can see here that now we are back at the pre-pandemic levels. And that's also reflected in if you look at our financials, you can see that we have now, in particular in the last year, seen a recovery of the demand. And we can see that all our product lines are growing. And also during this year, we have seen a growth in all geographies except for Eastern Europe, where we're impacted by the war in Ukraine. However, you can see that our profitability has been pressured and impacted by supply chain issues, and I'll come back to that. So during the last 18 months or so, we have spent significant amount of money also buying more expensive components on the spot market to maintain production, which is more of a temporary nature. But let's look at how we are developing our business. So as a quality supplier as we are aiming to go from being a system provider to be a solution provider. And we're doing that in several ways. So when the pandemic hit in the beginning of 2020, we couldn't travel, we couldn't see customers, we couldn't visit exhibitions. So we felt that we need to start interacting in other ways with the customers. And we need to do it at big scale and very well organized. So for that purpose, we created Boule Academy, which is an initiative to share and grow knowledge among all our stakeholders. And that has proven to be very well received and appreciated by the various stakeholders that we have met in this way. So we have a lot of seminars, both for our distributors but also for end users. Last year we held 17 educational webinars, and actually today we have a webinar for veterinarians, how they should interpret the testing results that our instruments provide. And later this month we have a seminar on tender management for the distributors. So various ways to help create value for our distributors so they can make it easy and to sell our product. and sell more of our products. Another important initiative, and that is part of the development of our new product platform, is to have connected instruments. So we're developing a cloud-based infrastructure to enhance the value for Boule users. And that could be distributors, it could be lab technicians, it could be lab managers. Today our instruments are connected with the laboratory information system, interchanging patient data. But with this new cloud infrastructure, we will be able to connect the instrument and look at the instrument data. And that we will provide, initially service and remote service and those type of services. But as this is a cloud solution, it will be very easy to add on additional functionality and more value-added services. This is part of our new platform development, and we will launch this to select distributors early next year, so that we can learn and gain experience of this type of products well ahead of time when we launch the new instruments the year after that. So let's look at our new platform and how we're developing the next generation hematology solutions. Of course, we will bring a lot of experience from application, but also technology and production and service experience into this development to make sure that we can develop the best system on the market. We have 4 themes for our new development. Clinical value, which is about providing the right parameters. But it's also how we optimize and present the data, so to make it easy for the clinicians to interpret the data. We talked about that there multi-parameter testing, that more and more of the testing, they want to see more data on the white blood cell population. But we'll also add measurements of immature red blood cells, so-called retics or reticulocytes. The other theme is related to versatile use, and that alludes to both where the instruments are used. So the decentralized segment covers everything from a fancy physician office lab on the east coast of the US to a vårdcentral in Östergötland, or to a very busy clinic at the rural area of India, putting a lot of different types of stress on the instruments. The other way we look at the versatile use is having different methods for aspiration of blood, using open, closed vials, but also that we provide this autoloader, the walk-away solution, so that we can target the higher volume testing segment. And also taking our unique feature that we now have on our 3-part system of the MPA, where you from a single drop of blood from a finger stick can do a full CBC, also to the 5-part instruments. Then Boule is built on a brand of quality. So the instrument uptime is, of course, of essence for our development. Make sure that we continue to provide these very robust and reliable instruments that can work in very harsh environments for many years. So selecting the right technology, selecting the right type of components, but also with a connected system, we can also ensure our uptime and provide proactive maintenance, etc. And the 4th theme is, of course, the connectivity, where we see that all our instruments will be connected in the future. So on this new product platform, our first release will be an advanced 5-part system with an autoloader, targeting the high volume testing segment in decentralized testing. So that's going from the smallest clinic, but also up to mid-size hospitals and laboratories. That will help our growth, since that is a bigger portion of the market today, and it's a market that grows faster. Following the 5-part instrument, we plan to also release a 3-part system based on this platform. With that, we will have an entirely new product portfolio, and that will really help grow our business going forward. And of course, we will also develop a veterinary system, but that's a bit later. So if you look at where are we now with this development, it's been going on for a few years now. So this spring we placed our first instrument at the clinic collecting clinical data. This data will be used to fine-tune the algorithms that classify the blood cells during the fall. And then in the beginning of next year we will start the clinical validation and clinical testing. That will generate the data that we will use in the technical files that we use for the regulatory submissions that we are targeting towards in the second half of 2023. After that, after we file, then the review time with the notified bodies in Europe and the FDA for the 510K in the US could be anything between 9 and 14 months or so, was the estimates this summer, which means that we will have a time from we file the regulatory submissions until we actually can start selling. So we'll use 2024 to prepare market access, and we hope to start to sell instruments end of 2024, and we will see sales volumes of significant nature in 2025. During the clinical validation and testing that we will do next year, we will also use that to collect testimonials, user stories, etc. That will be used when we launch the instrument going forward. So with this new development, I think we will take a significant step towards growing the business. We have set an aspirational target of reaching 500 million tests from the 140 million tests that is done on our instruments today. We are on that journey. The last 2 years has been tough, and particularly even if the market demand has come back, we have had some headwinds, particularly related to the supply chain issues with the component shortages and logistics, and that's something that we managed quite well in terms of business continuity, but it has pressured our gross margins. We've also been impacted by geopolitical instability, in particular the war in Ukraine, as we had a significant growth ambition for our Russian subsidiaries. Our products nor our customers are under any sanctions, but it's very, very difficult to do business in Russia today. So, we don't have high hopes for that business going forward. And then, of course, we see that there's a shift in regulatory landscape, which I think will be beneficial for a quality provider as us long term. But in May of this year, the new European regulatory framework, IVDR, came into effect. And we have spent the last 2 years investing a lot in our quality management system and in updating the technical files of our existing products. We have that behind us now. And then I don't know if you know, there was a press release last week. We also had an FDA inspection in the US, and they found some deficiencies. So we now need to shift some of our regulatory efforts towards improving our quality management system in the US. So if you look at our operational priorities to manage the situation, the industrialization and getting to the first regulatory submission on a new platform is of course of essence. We're also looking at different ways to improve our profitability. And of course, managing the supply chain is one thing. And it looks slightly better now going into the second half of this year compared to what it was in the beginning of the year. We have also raised prices towards our customers in a few steps, and we did a larger price increase mid this year, which should have a positive effect on our financials in the second half of this year. And then, of course, we have a number of initiatives, looking at our working capital, trying to optimize inventories, which is, of course, very challenging now when there's component shortages. So you need to balance that. All in all, I would say that in this quite volatile market that we now operate, it's very important to be agile and flexible and have a team that is very, have a customer-centric mindset. It's really required to both manage the current business and, of course, also to bring, completely new platform to the market. So we're working also with our, increasing our capabilities internally. But I feel, that we are in a good way to bring new products to market and secure the long-term growth and profitability of Boule. To make sure that this happens, we have an experienced team that have done this before in various healthcare companies. All of them experienced professionals with a passion for our business, but also guided by a very seasoned board, I think, with the right experience in the phase we are in now, and very relevant experience. So with that, I would like to conclude that we are looking forward to develop our business. It's been 2 tough years, and we have some headwinds that we're currently managing. But I'm very optimistic that we are now taking the right step to build a stronger Boule and have a very competitive portfolio going forward. Thank you very much for your attention. And with that, I open up for questions.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation, Jesper. And moving on to the questions, and I think we'll start on the new product portfolio and the launches you have ahead. And if we start on the cloud solution, just can you talk a bit about sort of what sort of opportunity you see in that to further capitalize on your already very large installed base?
So the cloud infrastructure is very much future-oriented, and our current installed base is not, per se connected. But the first release will actually you can upload data, through USB or other ways up to the cloud, and you can get some services in terms of managing performance of the instruments, checking calibration, etc. So it is very much future or towards the future and having everything connected. But there will be some benefits also for the installed base. But I think that is it's really a future-oriented product.
Okay, and on the instrument side, obviously a big move to get your own 5-part system that's going to unlock a new part of the market. But what is the sort of readiness of your current sales partners to accommodate that and sell that?
I think we already have a 5-part product in our portfolio. It's entry level. I think what is really missing is this auto-loader, that walk-away solution for the higher end market segment. So our partners, are in general, they have a wide portfolio of instruments, to the laboratory. So I think they are very well equipped, and they really want us to come out with these products. I think the maturity and the readiness is very high, I would say.
Okay, and as you mentioned, the sales has recovered quite strong now following the pandemic. But as you say, operating profit has been held back by complexities in the supply chain and higher component prices. Just how has this situation developed now over the last months? And I also heard you mention that you have done price increases recently, for example.
Well, these are external factors, and I don't really have a crystal ball. I thought at the end of last year that things would, improve going into this year, and then we saw that, the spring actually looked, it actually became worse for us. Right now, I think it looks promising, and I think it's all of these, disturbing factors in the supply chain. I mean, at some point, there are disturbances that will go away. I mean, every crisis go away, right? So I think it will improve, and it's of temporary nature. And if we have weekly meetings looking at the availability of components, and right now it looks quite promising for the fall. But you never know. It's very short notice, and that you get the information. But I'm optimistic.
Okay, sounds a bit promising at least. And then just on the inspectional observations that you have gotten from the FDA that you mentioned also, could you just tell us what this means and what sort of implications there are currently?
So we had the routine inspection by FDA this summer, and they review our quality management system and our processes and products, and they had some observations related to not the products but the processes. So they issued what they call an 483 form after the inspection, and we have responded that we are correcting those observations, and if we manage to do that, nothing will happen. It already now it's not limiting us in any way, and if we can correct that in a satisfactory manner, nothing will happen more than that the FDA will do a re-inspection next year. If they're not satisfied with our corrections, that could lead to a warning letter. But I mean, we are working towards making sure that we correct for this.
Okay.
And I would say, there was nothing about, it was not related to any kind of, patient safety or product quality claims. It was just related to our internal processes and how we work with CAPAs and complaints, and very much not so much how we work with it, but also how we actually document how we work.
Okay, understood. And just a final question. You mentioned here the goal towards achieving 500 million tests. I mean, that's a quite substantial increase, but can you tell us about what sort of time frame and how achievable that is?
I mean, I definitely think it is achievable, but it's an aspiration, and we haven't put a date towards it. But I think we want to make a difference. We want to have an impact, and the purpose of is really kind of helping people with diagnostics. With the new platform, with better penetration of the 5-part market, it will take us, we will, could likely double the business. And then on top of that, we need to have some other initiatives, which I will talk about later.
Okay, I think that is a good point to end this presentation. Thank you very much, Jesper.
Thank you all for listening.